Okay, Bruchim Abayim, welcome to the third session of Hischazkus, of strengthening ourselves and getting a positive outlook in our avodas Hashem. So, in this session, there's two awesome things we're going to talk about. We're first going to give one more mashal to understand, the concept of facing difficulty in the world, and then we're also going to see a very, very beautiful idea, and an important way to think about things that can help us all. Okay, so we're starting at the paragraph that starts Vida Sheyesh Echad. So the mashal is like this. Before we get to that, and it fits with everything that we've been saying and the mashalim that we used before. But I like to paint this picture like this. Imagine you're an alien from another, not a country alien, from another universe. Whatever. You've never seen the world before. You have no idea what to expect on planet Earth and with the way that humans behave. Right? So imagine you come down and you're looking at different scenarios and you walk into a gym, like an exercise gym, a workout gym. Right? And you see a personal trainer helping a muscle-bound, whatever, do his workout, and you see the trainer is yelling at him, one more, and the guy, his veins are popping, and he's pushing, and he's screaming, and he looks like he's in the worst pain in the world, and he really is. He's doing something that's next to impossible. He's pushing himself to the very, very limits of what he's able to do, and at that point, the trainer pushes him and says, and he lifts one up, and what does the trainer do? The weights go down, and the trainer says, one more, I want to see another one. And he pushes him even past what he thought was already the most difficult point that he was at, the most that he could do. The trainer pushes him even one step farther, right? And the alien from another world is looking at this like, oh my gosh, what kind of terrible people are these? This person is torturing him. And he's putting him in pain and forcing him hard labor beyond what he can physically be expected to do, right? But we know, because we are from this planet and we're not aliens from another existence, that guy is there of his own volition, and despite the look on his face, he's ecstatic with what's going on. And he's working hard, and he goes every day to the gym, and he pushes himself, and his muscles are in pain, and he's pushing himself till there's no energy left, and then pushing himself a little bit harder. Why? Because he knows that by working out and lifting weights and breaking down his muscle matter, that they're going to grow back stronger. That's why a person lifts weights, because they know that they're going to get stronger. So this is obviously a mashal that is so important and goes along with everything that we've been saying so far, right? Spiritually and emotionally, we are in this world to work out. We're in this world to push ourselves and to grow and to dig down deep into our souls and pull out the deepest levels of connection to Hashem and uncover all of our difficulties and fix them and grow, become stronger. Have Hischazkus. This is the point. This is what we're doing here. So once again, when we're facing difficulty, we have to wire our brains that we think this way, so that when we face difficulty and it's really hard, and the intellectual understanding isn't enough, that it's become part of us. The whole plan, the whole purpose of what we're doing here has become part of us. So this mashal is a beautiful way to understand that. Every time I'm facing difficulty, I'm that guy who's lifting the weights, and it's hard. But why am I doing it? Because I know that when I finish lifting the weights, I'll be a little stronger, and I will have built muscles a little bit more, and I'll be a little bit closer to my goal. That guy's goal is just gashmias, just to have a powerful body. Our goal is eternity and infinity, is to connect to Hashem on the deepest level. That's what we're here for. So the next part of the Sefer says something beautiful, and it starts like this. Vida sheyesh echad shekvar hu etzel pesach ha-pesach shel kedusha. You should know that there's a certain person, there's a type of person who's already holding right at the doorway to holiness. Meaning what? Meaning the person has been working, and the person's been fighting, and they've been facing day after day, maybe year after year, and it's been really, really hard. and their avodah, their work to dig down and pull out the greatness of their soul, and their work to become closer to Hashem and to become spiritually and emotionally stronger and to get rid of all their negative qualities. It's been going on day after day, month after month, maybe year after year. And they're right at the end. They're mamish right at the end. They have just about broken through. And at that point, and that person, right at the end, turns back because of all the difficulties and confusion that he's been facing. Or the person can be in the same situation where they're right at the end. They're right at the doorway. They're about to break through. Az misgaber Allah vasitra achra v'habal davar me'oid rachmana litzlan. And at that point, the Satan, the Yetzer Hara, the negative forces stand up against this person on a tremendous level, God forbid. The Hischazkus gadol v'noira me'oid rachmana litzlan, with a tremendous, awesome strengthening, show of strength. And they don't allow this person to get through that door. It's because of this that the person turns back. Meaning what? The person is about to break through, is about to connect themselves to holiness, is about to have a spiritual awakening, is about to have a whole different perspective on existence and to connect to Hashem on the deepest level, and is about to pull those deep levels of his soul out and do what he's supposed to do, fulfill his potential to a certain extent. And the negative forces in the spiritual realms look at this and say, no way, I'm not letting that happen. My job is to stop this. And they pull out all stops. And they make it extra hard. And they make this person face more difficulties than they faced in the past. And make it harder and harder. Because they're right at the end. They're right at the end. This is the pattern of creation. If you know Kabbalah, you know that the concept of tzimtzum means a complete withdrawal of all light. You have to have a complete withdrawal of all light before creation can take place. There has to be a space for creation to take place. Total darkness, total lack of any presence of Hashem to a certain extent. And then from that place of void, of nothingness, creation begins in what's called the Chalal HaPanui in Kabbalah. So too, we see the story of Mitzrayim also. When Bnei Israel were in Egypt, right? It had to get down to the 49th level of Tumah. It had started off with a little bit of oppression and a little bit of slavery. And then it got worse. And then it got worse. And then right when it seemed like it was the worst it could possibly be, the decrees got even worse and even worse, till at the very end, there was no way out. The Bnei Israel were stuck. And they were building walls out of Jewish babies. Dead Jewish babies. It was the worst of the worst. And it seemed like we were trapped and there was no way out. And from that 49th level of Tumah, that lowest possible existence, is where the spark started for the light of Torah to come into the world. And for the light of Bnei Israel as a nation to come into the world. That was the creation of Bnei Israel. We came out of Egypt as a formed nation for the first time ever, and we went to receive the Torah for the first time ever. Torah was brought into the world. The Torah is telling us this, not just to tell us a story. The Torah is showing us that this is the way that the universe works. Just like in Kabbalah, there has to be a total constriction, a total removal of all light before creation can take place. So too in the story of Mitzrayim. So too, unbelievably, let's do one more mashal. Imagine the scene when a woman is giving birth. And I heard Rabbi Tatz speak about this in the most amazing way. So imagine, once again, that alien walks into a hospital room where a woman's giving birth. And he sees that this woman is screaming. And she is sweating. And she's totally out of energy. And experiencing tremendous, tremendous pain. And people are holding her hands, and they're saying, push, push, and they're yelling at her. And there's blood, and it looks like a horror movie scene. Sorry, I mean that in the nicest possible way. right? But it looks like, what's happening over here, right? Not only that, this is what Rabbi Tatz explained, that there's this unbelievable thing that happens with a baby, that when a baby is inside the mother's womb, so the baby is fed through the placenta and the umbilical cord. That's where the baby gets its oxygen from. The baby doesn't breathe through its mouth and nose inside the mother's womb. It gets its oxygen from that. So what happens when the baby's born? Right at that moment, right before the baby is born, some kind of internal mechanism switches and cuts off the flow from the placenta, cuts off the oxygen to the baby. And for a moment, there's nothing. The baby has no source of life. And it's at that moment that the internal mechanism switches and the baby opens its mouth and takes its first breath. And the new life comes into the world at that point and breathes life for the first time from this world. But there's that point where it's the lowest of the low, and the woman is screaming and in pain, and there's blood, and the baby, the internal mechanism shuts off, and the baby has no oxygen. And then all of a sudden, from that moment, boom, the next moment, the baby opens its mouth, breathes in, and makes its first cry. And the mother starts crying, and with tears of joy, and the scene went from a horror show to the happiest moment that's possible in existence. Right at the end, after 9 months of pregnancy, after the last few months, which are even harder, after a whole many hours of labor and pain and suffering and screaming and crying, right? At the very end, then the worst happens. And from that place is where the baby takes its first breath and comes to the world, and there's a beautiful family. You see this in the way that seeds develop also, right? Within the natural world. What happens when you take a seed off of a tree or a plant, right? So if you just have it out, nothing happens to it. It'll just either dry up or go rotten, right? What do you have to do? You have to bury this, you have to take this seed and bury it in the ground. And it has to start to decompose, like it's dying. And only once it's buried under the ground and it starts to decompose, that's the place where the new life comes from, right? Only at that right before the new life starts to sprout, it looks the worst that there's ever been. Rabbeinu is telling us that this is something that we face. We all face this in different times in our lives, where we're struggling and we're trying really hard, and we've been struggling for a long time, and we're at the point where we're at the Pesach, we're at the doorway to Kedusha, we're almost there. We're mamish almost there. And at that point, we get hit even harder. At that point, there's that moment of death. There's that moment of absolute fear and of absolute struggle. It becomes worse than I thought it could possibly be, and then worse again. And at that point, some people will turn back. And some people will say, I can't take it. I'm done. Right? There's a meme that goes around the internet these days where that really speaks about this, really shows what this is all about. The meme, I'll try and post it on this video if I can, it's like a side view of a scene, a cartoon scene of a miner. So the miner's digging through the rock with a pickaxe, right? And he's making a big tunnel all along the whole thing, tearing the rock away and working really hard, right? And the tunnel is this long. And right at the end of the tunnel, over here, on the other side of the last few inches of rock, is a whole deposit of gems and gold and precious metals and millions and billions of dollars worth of stuff. And he's right at the edge, and he's been working through that whole thing. And the meme is of him turning around with his head down, carrying his axe, walking away, like he gave up, right? But he's right at the end. That's exactly what we're talking about over here. Right at the end is where we feel the most difficulty and the most pain, and it's the hardest. But Rabbeinu is telling us that that's the point, that we have to have Hischazkus to the biggest extent. And he says, Ki chen derech habal davar v'asitra achra. This is the way of the negative side, of the Yetzer Hara and of the Satan. Kisheroya sha'adam samuch mamish l'sharei kedusha. When he sees that a person is mamish, right at the edge, right at the doorway to Kedusha, right at the gates to come in. It's like he's almost entered in. Then he goes forth against him with a tremendous strength. Ki alkein tzarich az hischazkus gadol negdoi. That's the point where we need to have the most strength. And I think we can think about various points in our lives where we're faced with a moment like this. You can think of stories of people that you know where they've achieved great things, and right before they had tremendous difficulty. And through that difficulty, they came out on top, and they came out a much stronger, much better person. This is what we're talking about over here. And we should not give up after struggling, after working really hard, right? We should not give up. We should not, when it hits us extra hard, close to the end, we should have this in mind. We should know what's going on, and we should know that this is the normal way that things happen, and we should know that this is the derech, and we should know to strengthen ourselves and to say, I'm not giving up. Probably the most famous statement of Rabbi Nachman, Ein shum yeush ba'olam klal. There's no such thing as giving up in the world. A Jew never gives up. Because at the end, that's the point where we're about to reap the rewards. So he continues. And I heard, says Rabbi Nachman, from a certain true tzaddik, if one person would have said to him that bad things were going to happen to him, in the time when he started working in Avodas Hashem, started trying to come close to Hashem, Achi, chazak ve'echoiz, be strong and hold yourself where you are. If someone would have just said that to him, that tzaddik would have ran and had tremendous zrizus, alacrity, energy in his avodas Hashem. Ki gam alav avar kol hanizkar leil, because this tzaddik went through all these difficulties, tremendous pain and suffering. And he never heard an encouraging word from a single person. He didn't have someone telling him to be strong. Right? You're fighting the good fight. You're doing what needs to be done. You're reaching down deep and uncovering your greatness. You're doing it. Keep it up. He didn't hear that. And if he would have heard that, it would have been a tremendous strength for him. He would have been able to run towards Kedusha. Alkein, Misha roitze lichnos b'avodas Hashem, yizkor zois hetev. Therefore, someone who wants to go into avodas Hashem, someone who wants to better themselves, who wants to become that great person in spirituality, in ruchnius, has to remember this very well. Strengthen yourself a lot, and do what you have to do in your avodas Hashem. And in the many days and years, go in with total trust that Hashem is going to help you into the Shari Kedusha, into the gateways of Kedusha, and that Hashem is there for you. And He is that parent who's just got His hands just out of your reach, just so you will take those steps, just so you'll He's like the personal trainer who's got his hand on the bar to tell you, give me one more, but He's not lifting. He's making you do it. He's making you do the work to become great. Remember this well, he says. V'da shekol hatanuos v'hahatakos shatanitak v'netak b'chol pam ezem me'at min gashmis l'avodas Yisbarach. And know that every little tiny move that you make towards Hashem, and every little thing you do to separate yourself from negativity and from physicality and materialism, kulam, this is so important. Kulam miskabsin umischabrim umiskashrim uboim le'ezrecha be'esa tzarech. They're all going to come back to you. They're all going to come back and strengthen you at the end, right when you need them the most, when you're facing the biggest difficulty. When you face the most pressing, the most difficult moment that you've ever faced. Meaning what? All those little things that we did, that we thought were just little tiny moves that didn't mean anything. But I made a little move towards Kedusha. I pulled myself a little bit away from Gashmias. I didn't allow myself to eat like a pig, right? That one time. I said, no, I'm stopping. Or many times. I didn't allow myself to get involved in negative, intimate things. I didn't allow myself to waste hours and hours and hours of my life binge watching fiction, right? I pulled myself away from that a little bit. I moved towards Kedusha. Instead, I did something good. I went and helped somebody. I learned a little bit. I prayed a little bit. I davened a little bit. All those little moves. But then the next day, I had just as much of a difficult day as I did the week before. And maybe it got harder even. I should never, God forbid, think that all those moves I make are for naught and are gone. Rabbeinu is telling us that at the end, when we're right at the end, and we're facing the most difficult situation there's ever been, all those movements that I made, all those good things that I did are going to come together and strengthen me and give me what I need to be able to get through this test. To this, we must have a lot of simcha and a lot of happiness to understand that every move I make is important. And every move that I make makes tremendous impressions upstairs. Every move that I make makes huge, the little tiny thing here is huge up there. And not only that, it's all building up. It's all building up as my spiritual strength. And when I get to the end, when I really need it, it's going to come and help me. It's going to come and strengthen me and lift me up and enable me to walk through that gateway, to walk through the doorways of Kedusha, and to be able to come into Kedusha and get that spiritual awakening, get that new lease on life, new view of the world, new perspective, and closeness to Hashem. So let's take our Hischazkus this week and know that everything that we do is important and positive, and everything we do gives us some strength. And Hashem is there. He's helping us. He's just trying to get us to walk a little bit more. He's just trying to get us to give a little bit more strength. And that's what we're here for. And once again, we have to always remember Hashem loves us. And Hashem is guiding us. And we have each other. We should be mechazik each other. You know, next time you see a friend who's struggling, give him a positive word. Give him strength. Just get together. Give them a hug. Help each other out. That's what we're here for. With this, we'll get through all of our issues with Hischazkus, and we'll come through to the gates of Kedusha, Be'ezras Hashem.